Doors closing. The first phrase I am greeted with to my way back home, doors closing. A paradox that reflects the irony that when those doors close, it is the sweet sound of stories that are opening. The lurchings start like a portal to the unfamiliar and the unseen being made known. This is how I get home. I see you across the car, the big bouquet of roses you keep breathing in, and in my head envisioning you giving that to your beautiful woman. I see you, Prince of the platform, making sure your princess doesn't forget her crown balanced on her beautiful braids. Her gleaming smile shows you've never missed a day. I love how I get home, a melding of worlds unbeknown, the sounds of music coloring gray Chicago skies, coloring my own gray and tired eyes. It keeps me awake and listening, because what is about to take place is a multi-chromatic dynamic where I get to listen about your day and you're going to want to listen to mine, even though they took place among a different space. I love how I get home, a melding of worlds unbeknown, my crying eyes from stressful days. You think no one would care, and you think all I get is confused stares. But instead, you placed your hand on my shoulder just as you're about to walk out the door, a new piece of my story opened as those doors had closed. You think no one would care, you think all I get is confused stares. But instead, you sat across from me, wrote me a note saying, "You're worthy." And in that moment did I realize, as much as I try to see people, they also see me. The split second of two unknown worlds happening to be in the same portal where sorrow is multidimensional. No matter what platform of which we came, empathy transforms any dimensional frame. I remember that one time I walked in the door, my head hanging low from a calling I didn't want anymore. My sweaty palms and heavy breathing, the constant mind games and internal questioning, downplaying, isolating, distracted. The cycle replays my mind off its axis to try to adopt an off-orbit praxis. The way I get home was like a boat running from Nineveh, or so I thought. He motions me to look at him, two people in a sea of faces who've never met before, two people in the binds of a storybook stacked to the sky where the pages act as teleportation to the world's first unseen and unspoken. He tells me on my page, "You need to focus on what is good. You need to do the good thing." And in that moment, I realized I wasn't on a boat away from Nineveh. In fact, I was spearheading into an inevitable joining the way to home where worlds unbeknown speak truth in the darkness for seeds to be sown. The way I get home, the red line, where the way you see people becomes outside categorical confines, where it highlights and underlines my preconceived notions, where empathy on both sides is put into motion. The red line, though, is a fine line. A rich versus poor dichotomy shown through the Dan Ryan's anatomy, where for most of us on this side of the line, the red line ends at Sox 35th, as if there is a wall that separates us and them, as if we aren't actually serious when it comes to loving without borders. We make our own lines, we only recognize our gates and our borders through the irresistible greed of men, and yet somehow we call this order. It's only order because we get the privilege to not know what goes on the other side of the other line. But just because you don't hear the demons in the night doesn't mean they aren't causing terror. So often we only see the trigger of the gun but fail to ask what triggered the trigger. Because on this side of the line, we don't ask questions of what could potentially make us want to redesign. The red line is a fine line. This is how I get home, the treading of the same border, the passing through the same portal, yet coming out in different normies. The red line, a fine line, two worlds once unbeknown. This is how I get home.